Hello and welcome to FDT-TV. I am Michael. I'm joined, as always, by the very lovely looking Mr. Ian Barker. We are the Premier League pompous, proudest football podcast. A lot of alliteration there, and I think
You
Ian,
dropped out there.
yeah, I was going to say you've frozen on my screen as well, but you're back. You are back now, I hope. Yes, so we're back. Another week of football. A lot of stuff has happened over the weekend. Some good, some bad. Obviously, Ian and myself, West Ham and Arsenal fans. But we like to talk about everything football. Ian, how was your weekend?
Okay. Taken up by lots of people asking me what did I think of Gary Lineker. To being very shocked with my answer, but I'm sure we'll get into that at some point. It's all right. Footballing wise, another point. Not enough with everyone else fighting down at the bottom, but it's points better than nothing.
And David Moyes is still in charge.
And David Moyes is still in charge.
Yeah, we'll definitely come on to that a little bit later on as well. But you it was kind of a nice little segue into the first topic of today. So for those of you that do enjoy watching football and enjoy watching your football focuses, your match of the days, you would have noticed something very different this weekend in the fact that there was kind of like a mass walkout. From all of the staff that do presenting on the BBC over a row about comments that you're allowed to put on Twitter. So Gary Lineker, the other Gary, I'd say the more respected Gary, has put something on Twitter that kind of are likened to the way that the government is currently running is it kind of like 1930s Nazi Germany, which I think a lot of people were a little bit outraged about. And there were calls for Gary Lineker to be sacked or suspended or whatever. And I think that plan significantly backfired when, as I said, a lot of or all of the staff decided that they wanted to go on a mass hiatus with Gary Lineker in solidarity. So it all started off with Gary Lineker saying he had to step back from Match of the Day, swiftly followed by Ian Wright, followed by Alan Shearer, and then a whole host of people saying that they wanted to stand in solidarity with Gary Lineker. And the comments seem to be that whilst you're working for the BBC, you had to remain impartial. Now, I kind of take issue with this. Not the fact that you have to be impartial, because I think nowadays with the likes of social media, it does give every person, I was going to use a different word there, every person a voice to be able to voice their opinions on literally anything. Obviously, you can get pulled up and reported to the Twitter police, but I think I was trying to rack my brains as to why people wouldn't be able to make certain comments. And again, I think it was my wife that actually said it to me that for someone in a position such as Gary Lineker, where they've got a massive following on social media, you could be seen to kind of like steer people's opinions, or you could outrage them if their opinions are completely opposite to what you believe in. Now, I get that being a person in such a privileged position, it would be easier for you not to make these sorts of comments. But if Mr. Average Joe Blogs from down the road can say a lot nastier things, as we have seen from previous incidences, i.e. surrounding the World Cup and Bukayo Saka, and the mass amount of homophobic, racial abuse that seems to be fired around nowadays. Why is it that this person can't say what they feel about their opinions on a certain subject?
Okay, so I can try and answer some of them. So the BBC is obviously a government-owned broadcasting thing.
Hmm.
Pay TV license, you don't get any adverts. That's part of it, but it is British propaganda. At the end of the day, it seems to be impartial. I don't believe it necessarily is always. I think there's some subliminal in there at some points.
Hmm.
But you are right. There are people who say worse. But Gary Lineker is paid £1.2 million a year not to say it.
Hmm.
And that's my view on it. You're paid handsomely to work once a week to do a show that anyone would give their left arm to present, and you're paid handsomely for it. If you can't keep your stupidity to yourself, then maybe you aren't the right person to do it. Now, cast your mind back to the World Cup. Gary Lineker was very vocal on that, and they warned him about that as well. So this is not a first time thing. This is something that he's doing regularly, saying, well, we need to be doing this, we need to be doing that. Well, actually, as the position you're in, you're paid to not do that. You want to step back from that position, you say what you like, have whatever voice you like, you're more than entitled to do that. That is free speech. But actually, while you're working for us, this is what we would expect from you in terms of your conduct. Now, there's a few things with it. I don't blame Shearer and Wright for walking away with him, same as I didn't blame Hammond and May for walking away with Clarkson.
Hmm.
Come as a free, take it or leave it. The other people who walked out, I just wouldn't have them back, because actually nobody gives a fuck about them. I'm not being funny. Nobody cares about Dion Dublin. Do you know what I mean? Or Jermaine Defoe. No one cares. It's one of those things that they're going to bring it back, or bring him back, which I think is strange, considering how hotly they were with it, or with acting on it. The bit that gets me with him is the comments he made liking the government to 1930s Nazi Germany. Now, this is to do with immigration. I don't want to go about it too much. But as far as I'm aware, we haven't, or the government and as a country, we haven't committed mass genocide in taking people from their homes to kill them, which is what essentially he's saying. Now, what the government have done is passed a law to say, if you're coming in illegally to seek asylum and you can't prove who you are, you can't seek asylum. You have to tell us who you are and where you've come from. I don't think that's unreasonable. But Gary Lineker, who lives in his multi-million-pound mansion, isn't dealing with some of the things that people are up and down the country, with people being put up in hotels that no one knows who they are. They're not accountable. They don't speak English, and they're struggling to settle in, and they're causing all sorts of other problems. Not saying that's just the cause of the problem, but we're funding to keep those people until such point either they abscond and disappear, or we house them properly. I don't see what that has to do with Germany in the 1930s. And it's just, I feel like he's used his base to try and make something out of nothing, because he doesn't agree with it. But he needs to be re-educated about what the Germans did in the 30s, because clearly he hasn't got any understanding for the groups of people that were persecuted within that time compared to now.
Hmm.
There's no similarities in it at all, apart from, oh, someone's bombing their house. Yeah, okay, that's probably not good. I agree with him there, but that's not what he said. So I just feel like it not being the first time they've said to him, you can't do that, and the fact that there was 500,000 more people watch Match of the Day than there is normally at the weekend. Get rid of him and the other two with their huge bill. Get rid of the others with their huge bill. Bring people in at half the price. Lower the price of a TV license. I'm sure no one will miss him.
Well, if anyone from the BBC is watching, obviously we are kind of.
I was going to ping him an email, to be fair, so I'll do it for half the price. I'll do 4 shows a week if you like.
Yeah, to be honest, my Twitter. To be honest, I did see a load of people are offering their services to the BBC, but I think, to be honest, you ain't going to get this level of laddie bants or or commitment to the cause. I think from anyone else other than me and you. So anyone from the BBC, if you do want a cut price Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer, we're available. I wouldn't necessarily say go purely based on this podcast, because we have a whole back catalogue. If you want to delve into our archives, go and check out some of our previous videos. You can see how funny we are.
Some of them, not all of them.
Yeah, don't watch the earlier
can't
ones.
But yeah, there's some where it's a bit tasty, then just turn it off. Because, but again, we do a show based on this, on opinion. We can have an opinion. We have free speech. We're not paid £1.2 million not to say controversial things.
This is true.
You pay me £1.2 million, I won't say anything controversial ever.
I still don't think you could do it.
I'll do that for a one-off payment, not yearly for 5 years.
Okay, well,
yeah,
it's funny you mentioned.
My view on it.
I was just going to say, it's funny you mentioned the Qatari World Cup, because I have read from some sources that the whole rant that he went up, I say rant, that the speech he gave at the start of the World Cup, I'd heard it was kind of like encouraged by the BBC. I didn't actually realise that it was one of these ones where you weren't allowed to say it.
No, I think what he did originally for Match of the Day, their actual program was somewhat scripted in a way to be seen as objecting in an impartial manner.
Mm-hmm.
But he'd put out a few tweets which has since been deleted about the human rights issues. It's not right, and it's not this, and it's not that. Well, then you should have taken a leave of absence at that point and gone, really sorry. You'd have to find something to fill my shoes for that part of it. But yeah, I just think people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Very wise words, my good friend. Very wise words. Yeah, so I'll be interested to hear other people's thoughts on that. So if you do have an opinion on the whole Gary Lineker, did you watch, I say Match of the Day, did you watch the Premier League highlights as it flashed up on the TV? No intro music, nothing. Did you watch it? What did you think of it? Did you enjoy the format of it? Do you like the punditry breaking down of each games, or would you just rather watch the highlights, kind of like you do on a Sky Sports like soccer app? Yeah, but what changes would you make?
I liked it, to be fair.
See, I kind of, mind you, I only really kind of enjoy watching it when we're winning, just to see how people are praising us. But
always on last, so it don't matter, does it? I've got to start till 1 o'clock to be able to see it, and then I fall asleep and wake up to the intro to the EFL show.
One.
Rubbish. I don't want to watch this. I don't want to watch about Burton.
But yes, yeah. But let us know your comments in the comment section below. Right, we'll move swiftly on, because I think we could go down a whole political route, and this is not what we're here for.
Fuck politics. We're here for football.
Exactly. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about, there's a kind of like, I wouldn't necessarily say a standing weekly of agenda and what we talk about, but one thing that does seem to crop up even more so recently is VAR. Now, two big incidents, I think, over the course of the weekend. Casemiro being sent off for Manchester United, and also Nick Pope not being sent off for Newcastle. We'll start off with the Casemiro one. Sent off in the game against Southampton. Went in for a challenge, looked like 2 feet off the floor, out of control. His foot hit the football as the ball was bouncing, went over the top of it, and went in for a bit of a crunching tackle. We briefly spoke about this just before coming off. I looked at the challenge and I thought it was a bit naughty. You had a slightly different opinion. What did you want to say? What your opinion was?
So my opinion is it's a booking certainly. I don't think that is, and I think that's more for the intent of the challenge. Was his intent to go in and take the player? No, he tried to win the ball. His foot bounced over the top of it and got the player. So it's clumsy. It's nasty. It's not very clever, you could say. Um, but was his intent to go in and wipe the player out? No, it wasn't. So therefore, I don't think it is a red. Um, it's one of those things again comes down to subjectiveness, which can't. That's the fault in the system. It can't be subjective, and it's always going to be because you have to look at the intent. Well, actually, I don't think they did look at the intent because otherwise, I don't think it would have been a red. But it's one of those that the guy who was on the VAR sent the ref over to have a look at it. The ref looked at it, and from the stills that you see, it looks like a nasty challenge. No problem with that. Some of the angles, it looks like a nasty challenge. It's one of those that the slower you watch it, the worse it looks as well. But my question is, the guy who was in charge of that game in Stockley Park was in charge of the Chelsea game the week before, where loads of really horrible challenges similar to that were going in against Chelsea players, and not once did he send the ref over to have a look. So again, there's the inconsistency as to, well, he's clearly had a review on the Chelsea game and said you need to send people over to be reviewed on that, but that doesn't help Chelsea, does it, for the potential injuries they could have got in that game? And it's just, I just feel it's a bit strange because he's now got a 4-game ban apparently.
Yep.
Is that because he's had a red? He's only just come back from having a red card, or is that? I don't understand where the 4-game ban comes from.
I think it is because there was, but do you know? I find it really bizarre in the fact that he's received a 4-game ban for not appealing the red card. I'm assuming if it went through the appeals process and if it got rejected, then there's an increase in the ban of games. But I thought he'd been back a couple of games because I know he was suspended for the game against us, but even that was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think he's been back for two games, maybe 3. But it's just, I think it's strange. If they had appealed it, I think he could have gone on. Well, my intent was to play the ball. You can see that by the fact that I won the ball. It's unfortunate that this happened afterwards. But it's one of those.
I'm going to flip that. You look like you're looking into something there. I want to flip the question slightly. Obviously, you've mentioned there about the intent. Now, we know, having watched football for a number of years, that freak accidents can happen. Some challenges you can go into and you can catch a player all wrong, and we see broken ankles, broken shins, all sorts. What would have been your opinion, just playing devil's advocate here, had he broken that guy's leg? Are you still of the opinion that would be
a few years ago?
Sorry.
I was going to say, cast your mind back to Son a few years ago with, was it Andre Gomez?
Yep.
Or the Everton guy?
Yeah, it was. It was Gomez.
He had a nasty challenge a week before, a week after, whatever. But I don't think Son's intent was to go in and break his leg. That was a sloppy challenge. It was more sloppy than what this one was. I'm not condoning that it was a good challenge in terms of the follow through. It was certainly a booking because it was sloppy, but I don't think his intent was to try and hurt the player at all. And say even if he had broken his leg, I still don't think that would have been his intention going into that challenge, looking at where his leg placement was. Now, there are some, the guy who kicked Kai Havertz in the stomach, I think the intent was to try and hurt the player there.
I believe the phrase is leaving one on him.
Yeah, but there are challenges you look at and you go, well, that was clearly the intent was to go right, let them know you're there. go and put one on him. I don't think that was Casemiro's intent. Was I'm going to go over the top of the ball here and try and hurt this geezer.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was I'm running full sprint because I'm old as fuck and I'm going to try and win this ball. And it was just sloppy at the end of it. At full pace, it's just one of those things.
Okay. Well, again, there's going to be a bit of a running theme here, but let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd imagine from a Manchester United fan's perspective, they're going to be outraged at the fact that he was sent off. They may have the same opinion as you could tell, Ian, but I would be interested to hear what people's thoughts are on that situation. Now we come. Sorry,
I do have a quick one for you. So Casemiro.
Mm-hmm.
Played over 500 games across Europe. He's never had a red card. He's had 2 in quite quick succession now, playing in the Premier League because of VAR. Does that not show that the intent is probably not there to be a horrible challenge?
Or you could flip that on the other side again, just playing devil's advocate.
I've had loads,
yeah.
He is the first United player to receive 2 red cards in a single Premier League season. Who was the last in 13-14?
Sorry, say that question again.
So Casemiro is the first Man United player to receive 2 red cards in a single Premier League season. Since one player in the 13-14 season. Who was it?
13-14.
Yep. I would argue one of the best defenders ever to have played in the Premier League.
It's not going to be Rio Ferdinand. That's far too late for.
Oh, it's his partner in crime. Big Nemanja.
Vidic, yeah.
But yeah, so I just feel like it's
Just can't play with Arsenal, mate. You'll get 1 week in, week out. Yeah. Not this season, though. We've got a bit of a rub of the green this season. Yes, so very, very quickly moving on to the other case, which I think has caused a bit of a debate from what I've seen. Nick Pope. But I don't know where I stand with this one. I can kind of see it from both, because I suppose if you look at it, if you just look at the incident, gets the ball taken off him and then kind of budges the guy off the ball. But do you not think it went down a little bit too easy?
In comparison to some of the players that have been going down recently, no. I think there's definite contact there. Nick Pope, you got to remember, Nick Pope is humongous.
Yeah.
He doesn't look it. He's like 9'7".
And a third.
He's humongous. And I think, in all honesty, he got sent off. So we spoke about this briefly as well. He got sent off before the Carabao Cup final. I think incorrectly. I think that should have been a yellow. That was instinctual again, because he went, oh, no, and then realised. This one, I think, if you look at it, the intent was, oh, I've been done here. I need to try and stop him by any means possible, and then realise what he was doing. I don't want to get sent off. But he didn't get a booking or anything for it, did he? Walked away, got free, and you think, at minimum, it has to be a booking.
So
you'd have to say the guy was in through on goal. Had he not grabbed him, he would have stayed up. He would have been through on goal, open goal. So it's the last man, and it's a penalty. So he's got to be a red card because he's intentionally brought him down, denying a goal scoring opportunity. He's the last man, and the intent was bring him down. There's no argument to be made that he can't stay. He should still be on that pitch.
So from this incident, then, from what I was looking at earlier, I think they're all of the opinion there should have been a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
But what they're saying, or what the argument was, is that the referees said no, looked at the linesman. The linesman's obviously said something, and VAR have then looked at it and said, well, there's no clear and obvious error. Where do we start drawing the line on what is clear and what is obvious? Because, but yeah, I suppose it goes back to what we were saying earlier about the subjective decisions, etc. And it's starting to really grate on me, this whole notion of what is subjective, because by it being subjective, there's obviously ambiguity around the rules, and if there's ambiguity around the rules, you could have different interpretations of what those rules are. We've seen it already this season with the wonderful saves that West Ham have made over the last couple of weeks, and I think another incident as well at the weekend. But I don't understand why they can't just make hard and fast rules.
I think it's one of those, what they're looking at there, it did get blown as a foul, I think. Am I correct in that, or
No.
did it not? I can't remember. So at that point, it has to be a clear and obvious error because it is a foul. There's no doubt in that. What should then be looking? I know sometimes they bring in, for some games, I don't know why they don't do it for all of them, they bring in this double jeopardy. You can't be sent off and get a penalty, which I think a load of bollocks. You've committed a foul. It's a red card offence. If that means you get a penalty against you as well, so be it. But yeah, I don't know. I really feel like it's going to end up being scrapped by the start of next season. I think people are going to lose so much interest in it. They're going to go, "Do you know what? We don't want this no more." It's already a vast opinion. They've brought in someone else to do it. They've had to sack someone. They've had the biggest problem, biggest week of controversies. They had one good week, and now it's gone back to how it was before. Clearly, it's not working.
Didn't I say that to you a couple of weeks ago, that they were going to be so hard and fast on it for a week or so, and then it'll go back to its usual bullshit self.
It's one of those that surely at some point someone has to review it and say this isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it's not working, so we need to either take it out and re-look at it from scratch, or review it internally to then try and bring it back. But we need to get rid of it to fix it. You can't fix it on the fly and on the go. It doesn't work. You've got to come out, review it, change it, and then try and reintroduce it again.
Where do we go with this whole VAR thing? I know we've spoken about it, and again, I'm going to throw this question out there to the people listening. Where do we go with VAR? Do we completely rewrite the rule book in terms of when VAR can intervene with it? Because I think we've spoken about it in the last few weeks or so, that VAR has to be triggered by the referee, or the other way around. It's VAR can't be triggered by the referee; it has to trigger the referee, or something like that. Do we just say now that if there's an off the ball incident and it's picked up by VAR or whatever, and the linesman have missed it, the referee have missed it, we then can go back into that? If there's any sort of impedance on the goalkeeper, or people being brought down in the box with shirt grabbing and stuff like that, again, which the referee has seen it, do we then start penalising all those people for causing those fouls? Or
theoretically, yes, VAR should very easily be able to see that, as you can on a TV screen, and go, number 10's just pulled his shirt, pulled him down. That's a penalty. That's a really quick decision that should be done. You'd only have to do it for 2 or 3 weeks consistently. And people are just going to stop doing it. That's the bit that I don't get. I mean, there was a video clip of an Aussie ref a number of years ago, when I don't know if it was when VAR was first brought in. I don't know what league it was in. It wasn't in England.
it was the A-League.
It was the A-League. I wasn't sure if it was. Where you
Mic'd
can hear
up.
what he's saying, and you can hear what the VAR is saying back to him, and he's saying, I'm coming over to monitor. I want to look at this, and this. Show me these things, because I'm not sure on it. And the VAR goes, okay, I've got this from this angle. I've got it again from this one and this one. Here it is. Do you want to see anything else? Didn't give an opinion as to what should happen. Here's what you've asked to see, and go and have a look at it. You're the on-field ref. You're making all decisions. That's just literally, it's like the fourth official going, here's a video replay. I'm not going to give you anything else. Here's a video replay that you've asked to see because you've seen that incident. I think that's a book. That's definitely a foul. I need to now go and have a look to see actually, is it a booking or is it a red card, and make that decision. That's how I think it should work. I don't know why it doesn't. But again, that's the Premier League saying we can do it better than everybody else that has it working in their countries. Rather than going, right, okay, can some of your top guys come over, train us on how you use it, on what you do, on how it works. So automatically it works with us. All right, you have a little bit of fine tuning for the speed of the Premier League. Sorry, pardon me. But the other bit that gets me with it is the offside bit. Look at the Champions League; they go to a 3D render of the two players on the pitch from a 3D mapping thing. Bomb, instantly it's there with a line drawing across it. It's either offside or it's not. Why can't we have that in the Premier League? And the only thing it comes back to, and I know I keep banging on about it, is match fixing.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason they won't change it is because it's too easy to fix, and there's too much money in it. And it's just, you think if all the decisions had gone against Liverpool, Manchester United, or Manchester City last year, we'd have had probably the lowest total of points to win a Premier League title.
Mm.
But they don't want that. They want something exciting. They want a product. They want to make it marketable. Look at this fantastic, how well these teams are doing. We can market that across the globe. Well, they are with a little bit of help. And it's just, it frustrates me, the fact that it's like, well, it's sort of a taboo subject. You know, you're not allowed to say that. You can't talk about that. That won't happen. But why won't they be transparent with it then? Why won't they change it to how everyone else in the world works?
No,
you can have it. We had it at the World Cup. It worked better at the World Cup, where people spoke 57 different languages, than it does in the Premier League, where everyone speaks the same language. I don't get it.
No, I'm completely with you on that one, and it's something that I think we spoke about kind of at the start of each season, where we've looked at some of the rule changes that were being brought around and some of the changes to VAR that were coming in, and we've said it time and time again. You can look at any other sports. You've got VAR or some form of VAR in ice hockey, in American football, in rugby, in cricket, in tennis to an extent. You've got that bloody third eye or bird's eye view, or whatever it is, and they can call what's the word, faults and stuff from a ball traveling at 130 miles an hour. Yet we can't. And we can't draw an offside line correctly.
Yeah.
Or you don't understand what phase of play is in for there to be an offside decision. I'm still not bitter about that Brentford decision a few weeks ago. Definitely not. I'm definitely well over it. But do you know what I mean? I when the first time you mentioned this whole conspiracy thing, I've said it before and I'll say it openly again. I did kind of like snigger to myself going, what the hell is he on about? But the more and more I see it, the more it makes sense to me. And it doesn't make sense, as just to reiterate your point as to why there is no transparency around it, why we can't hear those conversations that are going on between the video assistant referee and the actual on-field referee.
What is more marketable? A product which you can control to some extent how it finishes up at the end of the day. You can't guarantee, but you can heavily weight it. Or one you've got no control over, where you could see Southampton beating you, and then you could see it all swapping round, and all the littler teams finishing above the big teams who pay in more money to the Premier League because of different bits and pieces, more tax, more this, more that. It doesn't make sense unless it's fixed. Some of the decisions we go, how have they got that wrong? Unless it's fixed.
Yep.
And if you go into it with the mindset of actually, there is not necessarily all the time, there are certain things about this that are fixed. Then when the decision comes out and you go, how? Everyone called handball in the stadium, from right in the rafters to pitch side. Everyone called handball. Yet VAR have looked at it. No, it's not handball. They're showing a replay on TV. You go, but that's handball, and the commentator's going, but that's handball. The ref goes over to look at it on it and goes, no, that's fine. How can everybody else see it apart from those officials? Or either they're completely Luddited and shouldn't be in the job, and they shouldn't be on the pitch, or there's some form of fixing around it.
Let us know your thoughts on that in the comment section below. Like I said, when the first time you mentioned that, I thought it was a bit outlandish, but like I said, this season it's become more and more clear, and I'm not sure if it's just because of the position that Arsenal are in, and looking at the teams around us. But sorry.
You're at the top, so it must be fixed.
Yeah, exactly. Should have been clearer, mate. It should have been clearer, fucking VAR. Right, just very quickly talking about the coming into the run-in. We have got 11 games to go on the majority. There's a few exceptions to teams around us, but on the most part, 11 games to go to the end of the season. Arsenal still sitting top, 5 points clear. We've still got a few difficult fixtures. We've got the likes of Liverpool and Manchester City still to play. 3-0 winners at the weekend against Fulham. And I've got to be honest, I was a bit and ahhing about that particular fixture with how well Fulham are doing this season. When do you think is acceptable for Arsenal fans to start believing that this is their year?
August last year.
August, okay. On what basis?
No, the basis you've always got to have a little bit of hope, haven't you? No, in fairness, the way you're playing, you're more resolute. You can see the growth over time. I know at the beginning of the season you were like top 4. We're in the top 4. That's a vast improvement. I'm happy with that. I think it's strange. Newcastle, I thought was going to come back with a bit of a sting from the World Cup, having had a lot of players not go.
Mm-hmm.
They've been a bit lackluster going forward recently. Tottenham, Conte's come back and they've lost again. It doesn't fill you with confidence. He's out of contract in the summer. The players are going to be down in tools. Harry Kane might be leaving. There's a lot of question marks around that. United, fantastic until Casemiro's not playing, and then he's a little bit ropey. They've sort of fallen off, having been the informed team recently. And Manchester City are not quite the monster they once were, with a lot of clouds around financial stuff. I think now is about the time for you to go, we can bring this home. You're 5 points clear of Manchester City. You've got to play them again.
Yep. At the Etihad.
When is that?
Beginning of April, I believe.
We've got what, one more game now, and then we've got a week's break, and then
end of April.
End of April. So by that point, if you're still 5 points clear, even if you lose that game, I think it's time to start getting excited. I think if you go there and win, it's almost done and dusted, because that will then put you 9 points clear, almost
8,
depending on other results around that time. Your goal difference is up there with them as well. And they look more shaky than you do. All right, you've conceded a few recently, but I think with Jesus coming back as well, that's going to give a little bit of a boost. And I think, I think you can be excited that it's more than likely not. I would say at this point, it's probably 70-30 that you're going to win it.
Okay. See, I asked our good friend this earlier, and his comments back to me, he said, "You watch, we'll end up losing it by a point, and that game against Brentford, where they forgot to draw the lines, that'll be the deciding factor." Obviously, there's still quite a long way to go, and I think the jury's still out on people's opinions of whether Arsenal are going to win the league. I'm still kind of sitting on the fence a little bit, and I still stand by my decision that if I will remain slightly negative towards the whole situation until it
Yep.
becomes mathematically impossible that we can't be caught. Then I will obviously start believing, or I'll know because we'll be champions at that particular point.
Yep.
I think what will be heartbreaking would be for it to come down to the last day of the season. I would like us, if we are going to go on and win it this year, I would like it to be wrapped up before the end of the season. But again, I know we've still got 11 games to go. A lot can happen between now and then. So I'm still gonna be a little bit reserved on the whole situation. But I mean, looking at the bottom of the table, I think this is where it gets even more interesting, because we've got Southampton currently sitting on 22 points and even up to 12th.
Oh, yeah.
On which is currently Crystal Palace sitting on 27 points. There's still a lot to play for over the next few weeks. Some teams down there with games in hand over other teams, but where are you kind of sitting? I think next week we need to have a look at our table that we did right at the start of the season, and just draw the comparisons to where
Definitely.
we see teams fit. But I mean, what do you think is going to happen over the next few weeks?
Now, from a West Ham fan point of view, clearly I want us to stay up. The board have sort of said, well, we've got no plans of sacking Moyes. There's been rumours that Mourinho's going to take over, and he's put out an old crossed arms on his Instagram. Now, people are like, oh, he's definitely coming. No, that's just Mourinho fucking about, isn't it? Going, oh, there's all these rumours. Do you know what would be funny? Called chaos. Now, a number of weeks ago, do you remember I said about I would like Michael Carrick?
Yep.
Since I said that, it's been growing and growing and growing. Now, I don't want to say I was the first person to say that, but I'm pretty sure I was one of the first to put that out there online to say Michael Carrick's a man to take over. That's now big headlines that if we get rid of Moyes, he's going to take over. But I'm almost the opposite. You know, like you're saying you don't want to believe you're going to win it until mathematically you've won it. I'm a firm believer we're getting relegated until we don't. It's I know that sounds strange, but when you look at our performances, Stracker's not playing. Apparently, he's not impressing the staff in training. Well, you've given him no reason to try because you just refuse to play him. The tactics are negative. Declan Rice, his head has been turned. He wants to leave. But when you look at the performances of the people around us, Southampton drew 0-0 with United. 3 weeks ago, you say Southampton United, no, that's a drumming. Easy. Leeds are winning points. Not every week, but they won a couple of weeks ago. They've drawn recently. Bournemouth are winning points. They're fighting. They're not against you. And other than a 96th minute winner, they were getting a point. Do you know what I mean? Against the people who've only been beaten 3 times this year. Leicester are the other ones who have dropped off a cliff over the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yep.
Everton are winning points and playing. Nottingham Forest are winning points. It may only be 1 point. It may only be draws. Wolves are winning points. Palace are not in form, but still have got a few draws. West Ham are the only people who just the performance isn't there. Now, I've been watching a lot recently of like the tunnel cams and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at ours, it frustrates me. Everybody's really friendly with everybody. The other teams, the officials, before the game, during the game, after the game. Everyone wants to be each other's mates. Oh, we're having a laugh and a joke coming off the pitch. You've just you've gone in 1-0 down. Yet you're having a laugh with the opposition. It frustrates me. You're there. You're being paid to win. Your attitude needs to be, we need to go out here and win. It's not like we're coasting at the top of the league and we're winning games easily. We're struggling. Where's that little bit of grit, that little bit of nastiness to go, we're going to go out and we're going to cause the opposition to lose this game? It's just not there. When you look at the attitude for some of the other teams, yes, it is a lot friendlier than it used to be. But when you think back to the Arsenals, the Manchester Uniteds of the 90s and the early 2000s, they weren't mates with each other and laughing around and jumping on each other. Oh, that was fun, wasn't it? We're here to play, to go to war.
Yep.
And we're going to walk off winners. And they did. They dominated and won everything. If we had that mentality, I don't think we would be where we are now. But I think we're too nice as a team. As a group of lads, we're too nice. And it's David Moyes is a bit clueless to go, don't do that. We're here to play. You go and smash them 6-0, yeah, go and jump all over them. Not a problem. But actually, we're losing, we're drawing. Don't be like that.
Yeah.
Show a bit of fight.
I genuinely think we should do that next week. We should look at the table that we predicted, and maybe even do like a cheeky live episode or something. When the international breaks on, maybe do like a cheeky live episode, and just if you want to come along and ask us some questions or get involved in some of the chat, then jump along. But I would be interested to see, because I knew we said that Liverpool would fall off a cliff this year, and I think a few people looked at us and kind of laughed, and obviously we're now looking at them staring down the barrel of 6th place. You've got Brighton, who are 3 points behind them, but got 2 games in hand over them. And Brighton have been no mugs this year. Obviously with Graham Potter leaving, so change of management, and they're doing all right. Fulham, another team that have been doing okay this season, they pulled out some surprise results. So I think the
Can I say this about Fulham? At the beginning of the season, I did say Fulham will be really good until they're not.
Yeah.
And the not has just started last week, and they're now going to drop off a cliff. That's my prediction.
Okay. Well, they've got the FA Cup this week, haven't they?
I'll lose.
Yeah. We'll certainly see. We'll certainly see. But yes, just again very nicely leading into a nice segue into the next feature. Obviously, we do our weekly predictions. We've got the FIFA Day Trophy predictions trophy, which is currently sitting behind Ian at the moment. The current champion. I don't think this is going to be. Well, still a lot to play for. Still 11 games to go. There's only a number of points between us, but yes, each week we make predictions. You get 3 points for a correct score. Look at that.
Because I am the champion.
Oh, does that mean I get the crown as well this year? Have I got to buy my own crown?
Oh, you might have to buy your own.
Okay, fair enough.
It might even be more. I can't even remember.
You get 3 points for a correct score, 1 point for a correct result. And we predicted 2 games this week, or last week. It's normally the West Ham Arsenal fixtures with the occasional bonus fixture going in there. But West Ham versus Aston Villa was the game that we predicted. You had 2-0 to Aston Villa. I had 1-1. The score was 1-1, so it's 3 points to me, 0 points to you.
Yep.
And then the other game was Fulham versus Arsenal. You had 2-1 to Arsenal. I had 3-1 to Arsenal. Score was 3-0, so it's a point each. So total scores for this week, 4 points to me, 1 point to you, which brings our totals to the season. Ian, you are currently on 41 points, and I am on 53. So there is a 12.
What's going on?
There's currently a 12-point gap as it stands at the moment. But Ian, we've just mentioned there's still 11 games of the season to go. A lot can change. We could, I could absolutely fall off the cliff over the next couple of weeks. But I would like to see myself as a bit of an Arsenal this year, and that was Arsenal, not arsehole, for anyone that just wanted to double check.
Every other year.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we've got a couple of games to predict this week. Arsenal versus Crystal Palace on the Saturday, I believe, or Sunday. And then West Ham aren't currently playing this weekend, are they? Because of the FA Cup is supposed to be playing Manchester City. But that's not happening. We've
got a game on Thursday against Lacana. That's the Cypriot team. But we're already 2-0 up.
Do you wanna throw that in as a prediction or?
Yeah, go on. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. Versus.
I twiddled my moustache. Now I look like the guy, the Burger King guy.
What do you mean, the KFC guy?
No, but the King from Burger King, he's got a twirly moustache as well.
I don't think I've ever seen the Burger King.
Have you not? I'll
No.
find a picture.
All right. So yes, we'll talk about the Arsenal game very quickly. Obviously, my team. So the game is on Sunday. Sorry, at 2:00. At home to Crystal Palace. As you mentioned, Crystal Palace have kind of fallen off a cliff this season. Oh, yes. I do know the Burger King. How very stupid of me. Yes, it's actually a spot on, mate. He kind of like, there's an air of Justin Hawkins about you as well.
Especially if I go into Burger King and go, I'm the king, give me a meal, they'll go, no, get out.
No, it's because you need the robe. If you're going with the robe, mate, absolutely spot on.
Maybe that's a video.
Video idea. Go for it. Yeah. So yes, sorry, Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. We've on an impressive run again. I think it's 5 games on the bounce now that we've won. Mikel Arteta has just achieved his 100th victory since he took over as Arsenal manager. And again, it's another massive game for us. And my friend put it earlier that we've got 11 cup finals now to play in order to secure the title. I think this may be a bit of a challenge for us. Obviously, with Manchester City not playing in the Premier League this week, it does open up the possibility of going 8 points clear before the next time that Manchester City play in the league. So the pressure is still on us. We still need to maintain that gap. You mentioned earlier about Gabriel Jesus coming back from injury, picking up some minutes, but he's going to have a fight on his hand for playing time. Obviously, Leandro Trossard has come in and has been an absolute super signing for us. We've got three players above 10 goals already this season. Everyone seems to be chipping in with the goals. It seems to be clicking for us massively this season as it stands at the moment. I would predict probably the same starting 11. We've got the Europa game against Sporting in midweek, and I think there's going to be a heavily rotated team for that one. And again, I wouldn't be disappointed if we got knocked out of that competition, just to focus the time that we've got left in the season to secure the league. So I am going to go for the home advantage. The fans are behind us. We're playing some unbelievable football. I think I'm going to go for 4-2 on this one because, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But again, wouldn't be disappointed with a 1-0 Arsenal.
I see. I'm slightly different. I think the midweek game will pay something to this game, and the same as you said, Manchester City not playing, so there's not that sort of immediate impact of they're going to catch us. What I do think will happen though is I think you may go down to an early goal because you've been conceding a few recently. I'm going 3-1
to
Arsenal.
Okay.
I don't think Palace are that concise at the minute to be able to score a few, but I think they'll definitely get one.
But don't forget, obviously, the Patrick Vieira, when he first took over from us, he nearly pulled it off, and we had to salvage a draw right at the end of that one. So,
oh yeah, but I just think that you've grown a lot since then, and they're struggling at the minute.
Okay. So yeah, we'll next go on to the West Ham game. You are away to AC Larnaca.
Yep. So we're the first English team to go away to theirs and play essentially in Cyprus. This fixture is at the London Stadium. Still 30,000 tickets available, even though they've dropped the price, which is quite funny. We had here's the thing: we won 2-0 on the away leg. Mikel Antonio pulled out some unbelievable goals. But I would say for a lot of it, we were outclassed. They actually had more shots than us in total and more shots on target than us in total, which says a lot for a team that play in front of about 4,000 fans a week. The London Stadium obviously is a bigger pitch. There will be a lot of noise there, regardless of how many tickets are still yet to be sold. But we struggled against Blackburn there. We've struggled a few times against teams we should just smoke. I am gonna go. See, here's the thing: if we go behind, then the crowd's gonna turn. It's gonna get a little bit tasty. I'm gonna go. We're gonna win that 3-1.
3-1. Okay, I am going to go for a nice plain and simple. I'm going to go for 2-0 to West Ham on that one. I think a repeat of the first fixture, or the away leg, sorry. And yeah, I think fairly comfortable. So let's not forget, obviously, West Ham are getting to the latter stages of this competition. It could be a trophy that you could win. I know you've had some questionable performances in cup matches and also the league, but this is still a competition. You could walk away with silverware at the end of the season.
We should walk away with silverware considering the teams that are in it. It's one of those that, do you win it but go down to the championship? Do you know what I mean? Do you win it at bequest of staying in the Premier League? I don't think so. It would be nice to, because we need some stuff, but again, it's papering over the cracks of what's going on in the Premier League. Last year, it was like, oh yeah, we're doing really well in Europe, and that's why the performances have dropped off a little bit. This year, we've been shit, and we're playing in a worse competition, going, oh yeah, but we're unbeaten. Yeah, we should be. We're playing against teams that are League One level of competition. We shouldn't be. All right, we've had 1 or 2 games that have been a better opposition, but we should be undefeated in this competition. It's laughable that people go, no, it's a real achievement. No, that's the minimum expectation.
Okay, so that brings us on to the last game that we're going to predict. We've got Brighton versus Grimsby in the FA Cup. Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, so Grimsby are the lowest seeded team still in the FA Cup, and we all know I love an underdog. That's why I'm a West Ham fan, I think. They're playing Brighton, who are high and mighty at the moment, and you'd have to say you can't see Grimsby going to the Amex and winning, but oh, what a story it would be. 1-0 to Grimsby for me.
Okay. I am going to go... I do think Grimsby will score, again, because the fairy tale underdog story, and I think they'll go 1-0 up. But I think when you look at I suppose it really depends on what sort of squad that Brighton are going to be fielding for this competition. Obviously, we mentioned earlier, it's the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Possibility of silverware at the end of it. Are they going to play a full strength squad, or are they going to go for a rotated squad and just try and finish in the European places in the Premier League? Who knows? But I do think when you look at the quality of teams, looking, I think purely on fitness levels, I think it's going to be a key factor for Grimsby for Grimsby. I'm going to go for a 2-1 to Brighton on this one, just purely on the basis that I think they will struggle, or Grimsby will struggle to maintain the pace, the Premier League pace, for the whole 90 minutes. Obviously, depending on when. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, don't get me wrong, I do think Brighton will probably win like 5-0, but you've got to go with it. I've got to go with the underdog.
Yeah,
I can't see more than one, and I'm already behind. So what's more points behind? Don't matter, does it? Yeah, go.
Brilliant. So yes, those are our predictions. Let us know what your predictions are in the comments below. Ian, I've mentioned everything that I've wanted to say in this. Have you got anything else you want to add?
Tune in next week for me to gloat about my prediction that Liverpool will drop off after beating Manchester United 7-0.
There we go. So you heard it here first a couple of weeks ago. If you want to go check out some of our other videos, just have a mosey on through. We're here every week. Have a listen. Have you made some predictions that you've wanted to check to see what our predictions were at that particular time? Did we talk absolute bollocks? Quite possibly, but at the same time, I think sometimes we do make some sense. So yes, if you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you very much for sticking with us till the end of the program. Until next week, I've been Mike.
I've been here.
And we'll see you next week.
Take care.